Hello my creative friends, Serena here. Thanks for joining me today on my YouTube channel. Today I have a fun video. Something good has happened, so we'll take a look at that. We are getting into fall, so my favorite time of the year, although it's a little warm today, but I'm trying to get out and enjoy all the beautiful fall foliage that only comes one time a year and is always very brief. But for today's video, let's go inside the studio and see what I'm talking about. Okay, so a couple of weeks ago, my daughter was driving home and she happened to stop because she saw something on the curb of a house not far from me. And she said, she did a double take, and she said, oh, those are art supplies. I wonder if the lady is selling them, or whoever is in the house is selling them. So there was a whole bunch of other things on the curb too. And so she does a U-turn, comes back, goes and looks, and at that time the lady was bringing out more things. And she says, oh, are you selling art supplies? What are you selling these for? My mom does art. And she says, oh, no, we're just cleaning out the house, we're cleaning out some stuff. And she says, take it if you want. And she says, in fact, I have some more things, more art things if you want them. Wait a second, I'll bring them out. So she goes ahead and puts the things that are out there in the car. And the woman comes out with more supplies. And she says, well, this is it. Here it is. And she says, oh, thank you so much. She said, you sure you don't want any money for it or anything? She says, no, take it. We have to move all these things out. So she didn't get more of the backstory. But I have been blessed enough to get a laundry basket full of art supplies. And when does this ever happen? I mean, it never happens. I mean, lucky me. So let's go over these things and I'll show you what was left out for anybody to take. And it's just one of those serendipity things that luckily she was there at the time and she thought of me and she wasn't in a hurry to go somewhere else. She was able to stop and she picked them up for me. So I thank my daughter for that. But we'll go ahead and take a look at these and then we'll come back and I have a little bit of a lecture for everybody based on this because I've been thinking about all of these things for a while. All right, so let's see what's in my laundry basket. Okay, first off, we have some nice quality Strathmore charcoal paper. 32 pages, 32 sheets, and guess what? All 32 are in here. I wish that these items were discarded with some artwork in them, but perhaps the person had other sketchbooks and just threw out the artwork, or the family kept the artwork. I don't know what the story was, but 32 pages, I will certainly use that. It's a nice texture, Strathmore charcoal paper. That is a very nice item. Now we are getting into some very nice items indeed. Pastel paper, again, Strathmore, very nice quality, 400 series. 11 by 14, 24 sheets, and guess what? All 24 are in here. Again, I don't get to see the person's artwork. I'm assuming it was a woman. I don't know why I'm assuming that, but I'm going to for the duration of the video. Here's a good one, all right? And you know what this is worth if you have priced any of these things. 75 pound, 24 sheets of, I believe you pronounce it Meton, something like that. I didn't take French in school, I took Spanish, because where I was, there was a higher chance of me running into someone that spoke Spanish than there was running into someone that spoke French. I really think they should have taught both. But anyway, such is the, 13, 14-year-old mind when you're choosing your majors. Different colors, nice different colors. So very nice. I can pick out a variety there. Again, none used. With the pastel, the Strathmore pastel, it is similar. It is a multicolored choice. I like the Meton colors a little bit better though. Okay, then we have palettes, disposable palettes from Canson. 2 of them actually. So that tells me that this person was using or intended to use, maybe they were going to take art classes, maybe they were taking going for an art degree and intending to take other art classes, had to drop out for some reason, but these are intended for wet media, of course. You can use them for acrylics, oils, and so forth. So that gives you a little hint there of what she was going to use these for. And again, 40 sheets in each. Both of them have 40 sheets. They're full, never used. Never used. They are a little bit old. You can see they're a little bit old. It doesn't bother me that they're old. I'm just stating that in terms of trying to date some of the some of the clues. I'm trying to use these as clues to put together a story. My mind wants to put together a story. My daughter also found this American Arts and Antiques catalog. This is just a catalog. Look how worn it is. It's quite worn. So somebody was into antiques. This came from a cultured household. Here's an ad on the back for an art show in a gallery in Boston. So that gives you a little clue. This is just full of beautiful paintings that would have been in the gallery, and antiques. Person liked antiques. So just a nice little tidbit there. And also, it tells you this was a 1979 issue. There's a little bit of a stamp on here that said additional mailing, second class additional mailing. So I don't know if this was additional mailing postage that was required. I don't know, but it gives you kind of an idea of the dates. Now, I have a whole stack of other things that are coming out, and I'll show you these one by one. I have brushes. Okay, now, these brushes have never been used. 18 brushes, there's 18 brushes in there. Look at that, never been used. This is sad. I hope that the person used other materials and enjoyed art and maybe decided not to go with wet media. I can only hope. You can tell these are not, these are not top quality art supplies as far as these brushes. These are craft store brushes, but good enough for someone who is learning, someone who needs, an economical variety of brushes. And there's nothing wrong with these. Absolutely nothing wrong with these. They're just not the best, so when you are using them for things like watercolor, they might not hold the water as well as a finer brush. The point you might lose the point after you use them a little bit because they're not made as well. You might lose some of the bristles. They'll fall out. But that's the only real difference with the poorer quality things. But this was a craft supply from the craft store. So we're looking at what level the person was shopping at. It's also possible that if you think back and you kind of date these, I don't think this was after the year 2000. I think this is before the year 2000. So if I'm thinking about what is available in this area, I don't think there were any art stores. We don't have any art stores now. There weren't any back then. They had small stores like AC Moore, or they didn't even have Hobby Lobby back then, but they had maybe like a Kmart. Maybe they got this at like a Kmart type store, or one of those stores. Here's another set of brushes, never used. Or I think they're never used. This one looks like it might have been used. It looks like the glue was rinsed off of it and the bristles are splayed a little bit in use. Maybe not. Maybe the manufacturer didn't need to do that to that brush. So all the other ones are not used. Again, a craft type quality brush set. Okay, so nothing wrong with that, but just, you know, a craft set. I will definitely use those. So nothing wrong with those. Then there is an Artist's Loft drawing set. Now this looks newer. This looks more after the year 2000. So maybe this person put art on the back burner for a while and then decided to come back to it. Maybe she had kids, the kids grew up, moved on, and she had more time, or she found herself wanting to try to draw and paint again. But a basic drawing set, which I'll definitely use that. Let's take a look at what's in here. It looks like there's a little booklet in the back. Did she use it? Let's see. Doesn't look like the erasers were used. I don't think the pencils were used. No, the blending stump wasn't used. None of those were... let me see. Whoops. Of course, poke that out. Oh, looks like that one was used. That blending stump? No, maybe not. That's shadow. Hopeful thinking, though. But, I mean, a nice assortment of supplies that I can use. And look, it gives you a viewfinder, which is handy. I just got one of these. I shouldn't have given that away because that's on an upcoming video. But here, look how they used to give you a nice little booklet. I don't know if they still do. A little introduction. It's got it in 3 different languages. Tells you all about the graphite pencils, sanding block, charcoals, a little bit about all the supplies in there. Vinyl eraser, blending stumps, and then artist pen, a little bit about drawing there. Doodling, scribbling. Kind of an extensive book for a kit. This would make a nice little gift if somebody was just getting into art and didn't know much about it, or didn't have tools, or was taking a little class. You know, just like one of those one-time classes that you take. Not a full course of study, but still life study. That's kind of nice for somebody who's starting out. And with any of these, if I find I'm not going to use them, I'm certainly going to pass them on to somebody who will. I firmly believe in that. In fact, I told my family that should anything ever happen to me, you know, before my time, I'm not planning on going soon, but should anything ever happen to me, I would hope they would give these my art supplies to an art school, or, you know, someplace that teaches art classes, and let people use them. So there's that. Now there are a number of other things here. Got a few more things. Here is a set of chalk pastels. Now, right off the bat, the first thing I have to say is, okay, we can tell these are from craft store. No problem with that. Not a problem at all. But I'm saying that because you can kind of use this to date this. This almost looks like 1980s type of, you know, the typeface and the design. But that aside, who designed this package? I really have to blast them for it. Really, would this make you want to buy these? This is horrible. Look at what happens when you open it up inside. Now, look at this. Look at these beautiful, beautiful colors. They are amazing. I can't wait to get my hands on this and use these because the colors are so vibrant and they look like a lot of fun to use. But you put this packaging around it, it's just awful. That being said, presumably they sold a number of these, so, you know, oh well. Anyway, this is beautiful, and I can tell that somebody used these. Okay, I'm going to get my hands all messy now. Isn't this horrible? But you can see, like on the orange, somebody used these a little bit to test them and see what they were like. I think, did they? Yes, you can see on the green. They used on the green. They used some of the pink. So And oh, of course, this is very obvious. Here's one right here, the blue. They use that. I don't know if you can see that in the shade, in the shadow there. But I'm glad somebody did get to use these a little bit. Put that aside. Now, here's one that really looks used and really dated. Pro Art. Here's a Pro Art set. And here's a little bit better packaging because you can see the different colors and it entices you to kind of buy them in that case. Let's see what these look like inside. These are artist pastels. These are chalk pastels. The white is missing. So that's giving me a clue that somebody used a lot of white. Maybe, I'm crossing fingers that she took maybe a life drawing class and had black paper or toned paper and used the white chalk to practice on that and experiment. There's a broken one there. I'm hoping that means that it was used and that caused it to break and not just dropped. But there are bits of the edges that you see are worn. So I'm glad those look like they are definitely used. So again, beautiful colors there. Nicely packaged. The person kept it all these years. You can tell by this it's a very yellowed package. Let me see if I have anything white. Of course I don't have anything white right here. I don't want to touch the paper again because my fingers are horrible. But you can tell this is yellowed from age. So this is quite old. This again, I'm guessing 1980s. 1980s, 1990s maybe. Here's another clue. This is the last item, Pentel oil pastels. Now, I have some crayons, which are smaller, little small set from way back when, and they're still good. This A.C. Moore's was a local art store that closed maybe 10 or 12 years ago, maybe even more, maybe 20 years ago. But here's a nice set of 36 pastels, oil pastels. So somewhere this person used these, and I'm hoping that they kept the artwork to themselves, that they didn't just throw it out. But look at these have been used. You can see that. I'll take the plastic off so you can see it a little better. And these have a distinctive smell to them. And I still smell that way. They still have that oil smell to them. I love that. But I did notice on these that they are very hard. I did try one or two, and I noticed that they're very hard. And I don't know if that's because of the age. I'm assuming it is. Or is that a natural thing for the Pentel oil pastels? Let me get a piece of paper. I don't want to use those good ones. Here's a piece of paper that I had some studio plans on when I'm building my studio. I'm still building it, by the way, but one thing I noticed, I was playing with these a little bit, they're very hard as oil pastels go. So you can use these for fine details. This is going to be fantastic for drawing and painting. Look at and those beautiful colors. Look at these colors. They're just fantastic. But very hard, and you got a nice edge on them. So I'm going to use those for fine details. So that is that section. So you see all the supplies that were left here. Now, of course, I did say that there were some palettes, some wet palettes. So that tells me that this person either used or intended to use some wet media. And it might be that my daughter stopped by after someone else picked them up, or maybe they dried out. Maybe they were a set of acrylics and they dried out and the person threw them out because they weren't good anymore. So anything could have been the case, but I hope somebody, if there were good supplies, I hope somebody puts them to good use. But listen, hey, I can't be more happy with some free items. Can I complain? I can't complain. Again, if there's too many for me, I'm definitely going to pass them on. But my goodness, what a way to luck out. Boy, did I luck out. And just because my daughter saw them and picked them up. So thank you to my daughter. Okay, so I don't know what I've said in the part of the clip part of the video where I went through all the items, but because I'm filming this before I actually flip the camera around and do that. It's just logistically easier for me to film this part now. But I wanted to relay something that we should all be thinking about as artists. I thought about the serendipity of this happening, and my daughter happening to go by when the woman was putting out art supplies, and me happening to be an artist and seeing the need for that, and the need just matched the circumstance. But serendipity aside, I've been thinking about this all week, and I thought about backstory. The backstory, there's always backstory sometimes to things that you get. A couple years ago, we adopted a cat, for example, and she was an older cat. She was 7 years old, maybe 6 years old, and beautiful, beautiful cat. I can't see how anybody would have been able to give up such a lovely cat. Beautiful disposition, so sweet, wonderful cat. But anyway, when we first got her, it was kind of strange. She would go over to the door, just about the front door, just about the same time every day, right around, 2, 3, 4 o'clock, something like that, in the afternoon. And she would just sit there and look out the window. We have a door that has a full glass window all the way to the bottom. Of course, we had to get that for the cats. The cats need a full glass window on the door so that they can look out. That's why you get one. Anyway, so she went and did that. And it was funny, when we first got her, for about a week and a half, 2 weeks, she smelled like perfume. She literally smelled like perfume. Not like the shelter had washed her in a flea bath or anything and it had a fragrance to it. It was out and out perfume, which we thought was rather odd. And if you put 2 and 2 together and couple that with my daughter, at the time was probably 6, 7 years old. She used to do tea parties, and the cat would come up and sit on the chair opposite, put her paws on the table, and she would actually lick water out of the little cup that my daughter would pour. She had like a little fake teacup, and she would pour water out of the teacup. So the cat is licking out of that. And my daughter also had a toy doll stroller, and this cat would jump in the stroller without her even putting her in, and my daughter would push her around the house. Most cats, you do that, you put them in the stroller, they jump out. They don't have anything to do with it. This cat loved it. She was used to it. She was fine with it. So we put 2 and 2 and 2 and 2 together and figured out that this cat had a girl that was her person. She probably had a girl the same age as my daughter, and she would wait for the girl for the school bus at the end of the day. That's what the cat was doing every day. She finally stopped doing it, but I mean, she did it for a long, long time. She did it for a month, a good month, waiting for her girl to come home. I feel kind of sorry for the cat, but when we looked at the adoption papers a little closer, of course it said that the cat wasn't found in some stray place in a parking lot. It was given up for adoption, but that's all it said. And of course you can never find out the full backstory. So there's always a backstory to things, and you can kind of piece things together. That's what I would like to know about these art supplies, because it really bothers me that a lot of these supplies were unused. The person bought them and intended to use them, but never did. Never got around to it. Didn't think she was good enough. Didn't have the money for the class she wanted to take. I don't know. What could be the backstory? And that really, really bothers me, because you never know what a person wanted. You never know what she wanted to do with this. Was she very talented and maybe she just moved. You know, maybe she grew up, maybe the family lived in the house and the daughter grew up, maybe went to college, maybe got married, moved on her own, didn't want these things, just left them behind. Maybe she became an artist. Maybe she kept working on her art, and I certainly hope that was the case. But what if she wasn't? What if she, got married, got caught up with kids, you get busy, you don't have time to do all this, it goes in the back burner. What if she had these supplies and she got ill? Some people can't even lift a paintbrush. So, be grateful for what you have. Take the time to use your art supplies, even if they're old, even if they're given to you, even if you've stuck them in the back drawer for a long time. Go and take them out. Use them. Take your time. Claim your time. Demand your time to do art. It's necessary if you are into art, if you like drawing, painting, if you're really bad at it, it doesn't matter. Take out your supplies and use them. I want to show you something. This is a small little sketchbook that I have. I take with me when I know I'm going to be stopping somewhere where I can use it. And it's not the only sketchbook I have. I have other sketchbooks that I have on hand all the time. But this one I take specially in a case where I have a doctor that is in a little different direction, and on the way home, there are hiking trails. And the last year I did this, and I will show you what I did. I stopped off. I don't know if this is going to focus, but I'm going to try. I stopped off and I did this little sketch with watercolor. It took maybe 40 minutes, 30-40 minutes. It did not take long, and it was just a fun little afternoon diversion on the way home. I had to take the day off of work anyway because I had other chores to do, but it was on my way home, and I said, you know what? I'm going to take this time for me, and I'm going to do some art. So I packed this. I packed a water brush and a small palette, paper towel, my glasses so I could see what I was doing, and I had a very enjoyable time. I think I even wrote, as you saw, I wrote some notes, a little stop on the way home to paint some autumn ferns, and then I noted that there were woodpeckers pecking in the distance. I remember hearing the woodpeckers. So something like this brings back memories for you later on. So take your time and do these little things that you think, oh, I don't have time for it. I'm not going to do it. I'll work on that later. I'll leave this. Oh, I just got these nice art supplies. You open the box and you've got art supplies. I'll look at these later. I'll take them out and try them later. I'll swatch it now. Okay, they look really nice. And you put them in the drawer and you forget about them. Don't do that. Take them out. Go today and get some of your art supplies out and take time, schedule time. Make your time for you. This is your life. When you get to the end of your life, you're not going to say, boy, I'm glad I did those dishes. They were so clean when I finished. Take some time. You still have to do the dishes, but take some time and set it aside for yourself and do these little side trips, side diversions when you're going somewhere if you know you have the opportunity to do it, because you won't regret it later. You will regret it if you don't do it. So that's my lecture for today. I hope you did enjoy this video. I didn't do any art in this video, but this might be one of the more important videos that you view to get you up and get you searching for those supplies that you know you have hidden away and use them. So if you like this video, go ahead and give it a thumbs up, share it, subscribe if you're not subscribed. I appreciate it if you are. Thank you for watching the whole video, and hit the like button. I will see you next time.